This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 423 for the week of Monday, June 13th, 2016. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's show, we have Alex, a.k.a. The Dude, with us. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Zach.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Good to have you on. We also have the animation director for Rick and Morty with us, Bryan Newton's joining us. Hey, Bryan.
Hey, everyone.
And it's in big thanks to Bryan, or complete thanks to Bryan, that we have a really cool guest on today. Alex, do you want to let us know who that guest is?
Yes, I'm proud to say that we have the great Wes Archer on the show today. Wes Archer is another animation director. He's actually an old pro. Bryan works with him on Rick and Morty, so you can find his credits there. He's also done work for Bob's Burgers, The Good Family, King of the Hill. He worked on the pilot and many other episodes. Futurama. And, but of course, none other than The Simpsons. He was also one of the original 3 animation directors who worked on The Simpsons back when they were doing little spots on the Tracy Ullman show.
Indeed. In fact, they had the Simpsons Symphony special, Hollywood Bowl, I think last year.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the 2 artists credited by Matt Groening himself.
Wow.
During the presentation.
Wow.
It's wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it just so happens that he's also directed a good chunk of the episodes that we reference, and a good chunk of my favorite episodes as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we watched a lot of the episodes on Rick and Morty and on The Simpsons that he did.
Well, to be fair, we didn't exactly watch a lot of them. There's like 26 of them.
We watched a decent... You watched like 10.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
we went through some of the ones from season 5 and 6, basically.
Yeah.
I watched a couple from season 2. I haven't seen those in a long time.
Including, what was it, Bart the Daredevil?
Bart the Daredevil is a good episode.
And I forgot just how many amazing episodes that Wes did. And I'm sad I didn't get to see Two Bad Neighbors again while I was visiting you and Alex in DC, but next time.
My motor's gone loco.
So yeah, we have Wes on the show. We also have some piece together in an anime recap led by Sam this week. So we're going to go through that as well. But before we get started, a couple things I want to go through. First, MatsuriCon. Ed, what are we doing there?
Well, we are doing a whole bunch of stuff. The One Piece podcast is going to MatsuriCon. We've got like 6 different panels. First one is a panel called One Piece 101. It's based on our podcast series, The Great One Piece Read-Through. So it's more of a beginner's sort of intro to One Piece. We have our One Piece Arcs of Consequence panel, which critically examines and sort of, ranks and tries to put in context all the character and story arcs that we've had throughout the 19-year history of One Piece, based on our big old 2-part episode from almost a year ago now, right?
Yeah, I think that was last year. I think it was around August or September, maybe. So a little less.
Right, because we did the opening rankings, I think, in like May or something of last year.
Yeah.
We were ranking a lot of things last year.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that panel. I'll say that.
We're going to have a screening of the One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan, our 2013 documentary where we sent Zach to Japan to meet with Greg and film awesome stuff.
I thought you were going to say, and we sent Zach to Japan never to return, and somehow he came back. I don't know
why your mind suddenly goes to that.
And then Funimation has a couple cool panels they're doing.
Right. And we will be hosting the fan interviews with Funimation, which is basically an opportunity for fans to come ask questions of the voice actors and possibly have that footage used on promotional materials and possibly on special features for DVDs. So come try that out if you have questions that you want answered. We also have a One Piece Unplugged, which is a table read of a One Piece episode with the Funimation cast that we are going to moderate. And not all the roles will be exact, so this should get pretty interesting.
Yes.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're still in the planning stages with it, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we're going to have a traditional sort of panel discussion with all the voice actors who are going to be at the convention. And it's pretty much the entire Straw Hat crew, except for, I think,
Stephanie Young and Lucy Christian, so Nami and Robin, I think are the only 2 we're missing. But we got Crocodile, Hancock, Buggy. Yeah, we have Mike McFarlane, also the ADR director. What else am I missing? I think there's others as well. And I apologize for forgetting. But it's going to be, if not the original cast, it's going to be a very cool cast with us. I guess some of the Impel Down crew is is what we're getting there. So that's all at MatsuriCon. That's in Columbus, Ohio, the weekend of August 19th through the 21st. Please come see us there. There's also some not as good convention news, and we got waitlisted for Anime Expo in Los Angeles. That's the weekend of July 4th. So we want you guys to let Anime Expo know politely, please, that you guys want the One Piece podcast. There's demand for us out there. So please, at Anime Expo, at us. The hashtag we're using right now is OPP at AX16. So please spread the word. Let people know that you want us at Anime Expo, because I know we want us at Anime Expo. And we've had amazing panels there. I mean, Bryan, you would go, right, if we had one?
Yeah, totally.
Steven,
I'll try to even bring some Rick and Morty crew if I can.
There you go. Do you hear that? Tell them to do it. Come on. Come on. We'll let you know if it happens. But right now we're on the cusp. So this hopefully could push us over one way or the other.
We're trying to grasp that brass ring, but
yep.
Yeah. That was my go. That was my go at an analogy.
Thank you, Steve. Anyway, we also want to let people know Patreon is still going strong, and we just put out 2 exclusive Endless Schmaltz episodes for those in the $10 and over category. That's for Gundam Wing 28 and 29. That's the second part of a clip show and the first part of the second, I guess, arc, I guess you call it. I don't know, for Gundam Wing. Anyway, there's a lot more of Alina, so you may want to subscribe to Patreon just for that reason. You could also get access to seasons 2 through 7 of the One Piece podcast. 20 minutes of bullshit you could always get. And a lot of our other series early. So please join us there. Finally, Kelly, our merchandise reporter, has put together her Burning Blood review. And this is for the really awesome, huge Marineford edition with a giant Whitebeard statue and a lot more. So check that out on our website, onepiecepodcast.com. It's awesome. That's a lot of stuff. So I think we are ready to get into the show. You guys all ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And excited.
That's good, Bryan. But it may contain potassium benzoate.
That's bad.
Hey everyone, we have a very special guest with us, and that is the supervising director for Rick and Morty, Wes Archer. Hey, Wes.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, good.
So I hear you're into anime and you've been watching One Piece lately.
Yeah, I have. I've been watching a lot of One Piece with my son. He's 15 and just turned 16. We enjoy it immensely. I've been watching anime for a while, since the 80s.
Oh, wow. So what kind of shows are you into?
Right now, I'm watching One Piece, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a little of Kuriko's Basketball, some Lupin. There's been a lot of good new Lupin series.
Yeah, that one's great. Part 4? That one?
Yeah, the Blue Jacket, right?
There's so many I lose track of when I'm watching, because we'll just start watching something from the 80s or even the 70s, and then we'll go back to the current ones.
So which JoJo's is your favorite? I think we have to ask of what you've seen so far.
And I really loved season 2.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice one.
yeah, no, that's
Young,
my favorite.
young Joseph is very, very charismatic.
All the English makes him fantastic, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's when we started saying, we started hearing some funny things, his "oh my god" and the camaraderie between him and Polnareff and everyone was hilarious.
So yeah, we should talk a little bit about One Piece, then we'll go through your career, because we definitely are interested in hearing about that as well. What's been your experience with it? Do you have a favorite arc, favorite characters?
I started watching in the middle of a story arc. I don't even remember the guy's name. It's the guy with the swordfish nose.
Well, Arlong.
Yeah, I watched that. It was pretty amazing. And so then I watched Impel Down story arc.
That's a big skip right there.
And then just the last like 100 or the whole arc with Doflamingo. And as you know, I really enjoyed the one of the backstories with the kids
With Law and Corazon.
Our Luffy and the Luffy, Sabo, and Ace.
Sabo.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sabo, Ace, and Luffy.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
And heartbreaking.
So I've kind of been skipping around. Like then I went back to the very beginning and I watched like the first 25. I don't have a whole lot of time to watch anime, so I've kind of been like skipping around through it.
I know I often have to like fill in the blanks for you when you're discussing characters. I'm like, oh yeah, that was that arc, and this is why he feels that way because these characters interacted that way.
Right. Like I just love looking at the designs too, the character designs, all the details, and the pacing is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now you said you got into anime way back in the 1980s. What was around back then that you were into, and what drew you towards Japanese animation at that time?
Okay, so you know, I grew up and I watched Speed Racer and Gigantor.
Oh, Gigantor!
You know, when I was a little kid. So I go off to art school, to college, and this guy has actually it's Peter Chung who created Aeon Flux and
oh wow
on
anime. I forgot you guys are in school together.
Jeez.
So he had these magazines with anime art that I found fascinating. So he invited me to go with him to this anime club somewhere, and it was all these like, I don't know, like high school or like college kids and high school kids that would sit in a room all day watching Mobile Suit Gundam and Battleship Yamato.
It's not much different now.
And
it's about the same.
Like my butt would fall asleep, and I would start falling asleep, and then I would get like really hungry, and there's nothing to eat, and I'd be pestering Peter to leave, you know, and he would be like, no, there's some good stuff coming up. We would stay there for like, oh god, like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it really tested me, but like I really enjoyed some of the animation, and then a couple of years later, he figured out how to get his own videotapes. He knew like the stores in downtown LA and Little Tokyo to go to rent anime, and he would bring these tapes back, and I saw Tiger Mask and Space Cobra and this really cool show from the 60s, I think, Kamui, this samurai. You ever heard of Kamui Gaiden?
No, that's not one that I'm familiar with.
You got him, Wes. You got him.
Didn't take long, Brian.
The artwork is amazing. He's this samurai who separated from his clan, so he is wandering around Japan alone. He really has to defend himself from everyone, and he protects these little fishing villages, and his clan is also after him, and he's like this lone wolf, and he's really paranoid that everyone's out to get him. Very cool show.
Yeah, I just looked this up. This is it's based off of an old manga. This looks familiar. Looks like they also made a movie, a live action movie in 2009.
Yeah, but this is actually directed by the guy from the anime adaptation of Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It's directed by Rentaro. So.
Yeah,
amazing.
I like that movie too.
That's far out.
Yeah. You managed to sit through 4 to 5 hours for however long you did that, and I mean, how has your relationship with anime evolved? What have been your favorite series, I guess, since the 80s?
Well, I guess into the 90s, I watched a lot of whatever movies I could find and that Peter had. There's Akira and Ghost in the Shell.
Mm.
This one called Birth. Have you ever seen it? I don't know what the Japanese name, but the American title was called Birth.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
Yeah, we actually watched a trailer for that off of a really old DVD I had.
it's not a very good trailer, but I'm sure it was a good, it was a good
Yeah.
series.
So there's some horrible American cut of
Right.
it, but the original is like, it's a very modest movie, but you could tell like basically one guy drew the whole thing.
Yeah, Kaizo Yao did a voice in
An
it.
amazing artist.
Hmm.
I
Awesome.
watched, and then like I watched like Mazinger. This series wise, we watched Hokuto no Ken, or The Fist of the North Star.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, you've probably seen that. We watched a lot of those.
Yeah,
And
from
then,
everything you're listing off, it sounds like you guys watched a lot of space opera.
Yeah, I really like the Space Cobras.
Those are
were
supposed to be
probably
great. I need to.
my favorites.
Yeah.
And the soundtracks are good. They're amazing.
I think that's on Hulu now. I've seen it around, or Netflix, one of those.
It makes sense from Peter Chung's track record in animation that those would be his favorite and most watched kind of animes.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like I started pilfering shots and sneaking them into Simpsons episodes. I did this thing in The Simpsons that this fake movie called McBain.
Oh, we know McBain.
Yeah,
Mendoza!
So I stole some shots from the movie Golgo 13
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and put them in there, and then I put this shot in Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2, where Chief Wiggum is looking down through the chamber of his revolver, and the chamber has an empty slot where there's a missing bullet, and it's like shot from below, from the floor, looking up at his face through the empty chamber.
That's so cool. When you go through, when you're directing a project, what makes you I don't know, pull from something that you've watched before like that?
It's just part of the process of choosing shots. There's a lot of shots in a story, so not all of them I just come up with out of my head. Sometimes I look at photographs or movies or anime to get ideas for shots, or I'll remember a shot from a movie and go back and look it up on YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah, I've noticed that in a lot of your Simpsons episodes, there's a ton of movie references, which I have come to really enjoy. But is that kind of stuff called for in the script, or is that a choice that you make personally?
The more obvious ones are called for in the script, almost always. Like they'll write it. Like the Terminator, where in Homer Loves Flanders, where Homer comes and chases Flanders' car down in his Yugo.
I love that.
Hooks on to the back of the car with a golf club. So that was a la the Terminator. So
sense.
look it up and you sketch out the shots and just adapt it to the.
So how did you get onto The Simpsons? I know you were there from the very, very, very beginning.
He
Well,
directed like half of season 1.
Yeah, I worked on the Tracy Ullman show shorts as an animator actually, and seasons 1 through 7 of the series. I guess basically it really traces back to the short film I did at college, Jack Mack and Radboy, which had anime influences. You can look it up online. I animated this short film. I used it to get hired at Classic Chupo, doing commercials. And then when the Simpsons project came up, they hired me on there. And I think they used clips from my short film in their animation reel that they showed to Gracie Films to try to get the Simpsons shorts.
Oh wow, that's cool.
To show like such variety.
It's far out. I didn't know this until quite recently, but you're responsible for the animated sequences in One Crazy Summer.
I was an animator on that. Yeah, my colleague and friend Bill Kopp directed that animation and hired myself and a couple other animators to do those. Yeah.
Bill's most known for Eat the Cat.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Kopp.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
the same
guys
one.
used to those guys used to chide me a little bit for watching anime. It would be like, why are their eyes drawn like that? Why
Those
is
who
it
don't
so?
know, that's a pretty accurate Bill Cobb.
can't, you know what they're saying? Because they're more, he's more all about Warner Brothers and American animation. I'm sure he appreciates anime as well.
Mhm. Now, you also worked on the beginning of King of the Hill, and you actually directed the pilot. So I was wondering what kind of input you sort of have into the overall look and style of the show when you're in sort of really early at the ground floor like that.
Well, they had done this black and white short test at a small studio in Texas of Hank, basically just Hank talking, and he looked pretty different. But I mean, he was basically the same guy, but he was a lot angrier. And they when he and Greg Daniels got to go ahead to do a series, they wanted to redesign it, and Mike, who was a fan of my short film Jack Mack and Rad Boy, wanted to work with me, and he'd been a big fan of that while he was like creating Beavis and Butthead. He had me like kind of redesign the characters, and so I had a great deal to do with the look of that show. That's an interesting show. It's a lot more realistic, you could say. It's very surreal, and well, it's kind of its own beast.
Yeah, I love King of the Hill, and often would forget, even though I'm fully aware it's an animated process and everything that it takes to do that. You just get so wrapped up in the characters and the writing so good and so believable. You often forget you're watching an animated program. You forget that artists have to sit down and create these situations with these characters who feel like they could be your neighbors.
That's what made it so entertaining to work on, is that the characters were so real. So it wasn't a whole lot of fun to draw, but it was once you got used to drawing them, it was really interesting to come up with the staging and the shots and the pacing and all that kind of stuff.
Was it necessary to kind of be a little more cinematic than normal?
Yeah. So the season 2, we when you have a new series, you never work out all the models the way you'd like in season 1. There's just because there's a lot of trial and error, and there's not a lot of time or money to redesign until it's perfect. So you kind of design until everyone likes it, and you set off on season 1, and then there's at the end of the season, there's all this stuff that's bothering you. Like on Hank Hill, like his arms were too short. He had one too many bags under his eyes. The Korean animators couldn't draw the hair right. So it's always like another redesign on season 2. Same thing with Simpsons, same thing with Rick and Morty, whatever I've worked on. So on season 2, we like enlarged Hank's eyes, made his arms longer, etc. And there was one point where Brad Bird was a consultant, and he was doing like board notes and the sketch of Hank, the way he would redesign Hank, and it was a really cool sketch. But it just didn't look at all like Mike Judge.
Was King of the Hill the most difficult show you worked on? Because I know how strict it was being on model, and kind of how even The Simpsons kind of did some zany stuff, while King of the Hill is very grounded in reality.
Yeah, season 1 was really tough because no one could really wrap themselves around the drawing, and we were understaffed. The animation industry was like booming, and everyone was employed, and no one, no Hollywood animator wanted to work on King of the Hill because it wasn't fun to draw. And we ended up having like people fresh out of UCLA to work on it, just like a few really good experienced people. So it was pretty difficult.
People start noticing that The Simpsons got a little wackier and kept getting wackier after about season 4. But I was looking at a season 7 episode that you directed, Two Bad Neighbors. It really sort of took it back down to the almost King of the Hill level realism or closer to realism. But I was
If
curious,
George Bush lived across the street from you, but
right? But I was curious about a story you told in the commentary for that episode, because that was one commentary that I happened to re-listen to. But apparently, you TP'd George Bush's house when you were a little kid.
Yeah, it's a weird cosmic coincidence that I would end up directing that show. Yeah, he lived in a neighborhood, and I looked it up on the map. It was like 3 miles away from where I lived, and by talking to my brother, we pieced together what happened that night. And these kids we knew, their mom, it was like her idea. She gave us the toilet paper and drove us there and suggested we do it. And she drops us off at the subdivision, and that's what we did. And,
so it's the mother's fault.
Busted and chased away. It was a fun night, very fun. That's one of my favorite Simpson episodes, because you're right, it has a very realish, grounded feel to it.
mixed with some Dennis the Menace and
Yeah.
That episode has a lot of really, really cool shots in it. By the way, I was rewatching it the other day. He's looking. He's
Into
looking
the gutter.
Well, I was going to see when he's looking through the peephole. With Homer's cardboard cutouts of Jeb Bush and George Jr. But he doesn't have his glasses on, so it's blurry. There's amazing attention to detail there.
Yeah, I actually helped figure out how to draw something blurry. Like, we drew it blurry and then also blurred it, put a blur effect on top of that.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
That's interesting.
Coming from Klasky Supo, I guess that's probably within your wheelhouse. I've always noticed that the animation style in most of their shows is sort of, I guess, fluid. I guess it would be a term.
Well, by then it had moved to Film Roman.
Yeah.
Are there any experiences from, I mean, you've worked from some of like the seminal episodes of The Simpsons that we can't stop quoting here, if I let everyone else have free reign of just spitting out quotes, but are there any particular episodes that we haven't mentioned that you have fond memories of, or that specifically stick out in your mind?
Well, I'll never forget 3 Men in a Comic Book.
Oh, the lightning in that episode is great.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I did that stuff. That was kind of a watershed moment, I think, where I realized, this is a real classic. I felt like it would go on for a few years. That season was a great season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that in 2?
Yeah, that was 2, I think.
I really burned out that year. I was doing a lot of episodes. I had to take a year off. The following year, I did only 2 episodes, and then the year after that, only 2. So I had like a whole year off.
But like your season 5 and 6 episodes,
oh my God, yeah.
Ed, Alex, and I were watching through those again, and there's some of my favorite episodes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of gifable moments.
Yeah.
Now that we have Frinkiac, everything's gifable.
Time to be
Your
alive.
your directing credit came up right over an image of Homer dancing in a very hot shower, which was a really funny visual.
Yeah, that's a cool scene.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever got to tell you this, Wes, but like one of the reasons I'm even in animation was because of The Simpsons. Not simply because of the work you guys did, which I think we all know, and it's like testament to America's culture and animation in general. Because I mean, The Simpsons helped create the boom in the '90s. But like when I was a kid, I took our art classes. I was like maybe 9 or 10. And an artist from The Simpsons came by, and he had the character design models and model packs of I think it had to be season 1 model packs. And I got that to see like the expression breakdowns and what a turnaround looks like.
Right.
And that was like really my first introduction to like the actual process behind how cartoons are made.
Cool.
Yeah. And I still have to look for this guy. I think Pete told me potentially who this person could have been.
Huh.
So I still have to like find that
Who do you
person.
think it was?
He gave me a name and I have to look it up, but I think he was one of the designers of the animators. He's a black guy. And I have to find out who this guy is and say, hey, I was that kid from that class from way back in the day.
Oh, I think I know who that was.
Yeah.
God, what was his name?
Yeah, we'll do some digging.
Yeah.
into my head in a couple of minutes.
We'll try to knock out a couple questions, I guess. So you directed only a couple episodes of Futurama. Was that something that they like just kind of requested you for?
Well, no, King of the Hill was going through kind of some weird growing pains, and I left to go animate some stuff for one of the Film Roman producers at his online company called Icebox.com.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't last long, and then I went over to Rough Draft to do some Futurama. And then I did a pilot at Rough Draft for Cartoon Network. Didn't get picked up, and then I went back to King of the Hill. So there was like a 2-year, that was 2001, 2002, I think. Like this 2-year period where I was doing other things away from King of the Hill.
Okay. So now when it's a show that you're just sort of like jumping in on, what kind of research do you do beforehand? I mean, assuming since Futurama is very close to The Simpsons, the obvious thing being that it's a Matt Groening show. I'm assuming you were already a fan of it and you kind of knew what you were in for beforehand, or how does that work generally?
For Futurama?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they knew I could come in and direct, and
when you got to work on something, I guess, and you're not, I guess, completely familiar with the source material, does that pose a big challenge, or do you watch a bunch of it to research beforehand? Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's always a challenge. So yeah, you have to kind of catch up on what they've done and just kind of tread carefully your first episode to just try to match the style.
And then you could go crazy.
Yeah, then you can start trying out some things.
All right, so how's it been getting into Rick and Morty?
Oh, Rick and Morty's great. It's a very entertaining show. Very interesting to work on too.
And if I'm guessing the first episode you worked on was the first episode of season 2, a Rickle in Time.
Yeah, that's right. They did want me on for the pilot, but I went back to Bob's just because of practical reasons, and so I wasn't on Rick and Morty season 1, even though I interviewed and they wanted me on.
Yeah,
we did one season, it was 13 episodes of Murder Police, and it never aired. It's like an animated Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, it was. I saw a clip of it while I was at ADHD, and it was could have been a pretty brilliant show.
Yeah. One of the writers from Family Guy was there, but after that, they were starting season 2 of Rick and Morty, and it seemed like the best thing for me to do is to come over here.
And a Rickle in Time must have been quite the initiation, because that I don't even want to fathom what it was like having to plan out that episode, having to board it, having to direct it. It's insane. It's insane how much detail is in that first episode of the season.
Well, it's great to do time travel or multiple realities, because I used to read a lot of Philip K. Dick books in the 80s and 90s. Like, I had all these paperbacks, and there's a lot of that kind of thing in there. And he's just such a great writer. It was great to come onto an animated show that treads in that territory. So I was totally up for it. And you're right, though. It was a lot of work, because they had some writing issues they had to work out while we were drawing it. Also, but all those split screens were. It's kind of faked. Like, I think we got up to 64 screens, and I think we did like 12 variations, and then you just kind of randomly repeat those. Mm-hmm. So it's really not 64 separate animated scenes.
Oh, well, phew.
Yeah, so I shouldn't have told you, but
it's okay. We won't tell anybody.
The magic is ruined.
Yeah. Now
so
working on
slightly out of sync, so it's all original.
Now working on Rick and Morty, does that really allow you to explore some some visceral things that you've wanted to try out in animation?
Well, just I kind of, but it's a scripted show, so there's a lot in it. There's a lot in these scripts. There's a lot of acting a lot of character stuff that Rick and Morty go through. A lot of interesting situations. So it's a very satisfying show.
The one question that I wanted to ask you earlier, but I know we're running short on time. Who were your major influences growing up, and what really drove you to become an animator?
Let's see. Well, I would read Mad Magazine. I like Al Jaffe and Jack Davis and Don Martin. Those are my three favorites.
All right.
And then animation wise, I saw some Bruno Bozzetto short film. Like I saw one Bruno Bozzetto short, and I saw Wizards, the Ralph Bakshi
Wizards
movie.
is so good. Oh, dude, I was kind of
It's funny because like that was the year Star Wars came out. Like Star Wars came out right before Wizards. It totally ruined its box office, I'm sure. But I went to the theater and there was a Star Wars poster on my left and a Wizards poster on the right, and I'm like, I'm going to see Wizards.
that's
I didn't even
not the
see
story.
Star
That's not the story most people would tell.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I love Bakshi's work. It's really out there. I was wondering if he was one of your influences actually after seeing the One Crazy Summer stuff, because it's
That was kind of Bakshi like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you ever get to work with him, Wes? With Ralph?
No, I didn't. And honestly, his directing is not that on point, really. I mean, I always thought that the most interesting things about movies were the sequence directors and the different animators that he hired and put together
Right.
on his projects. I don't want to, critique his directing, but I'm not a huge fan of some of his movies.
Yeah, his narrative structure is much to be desired.
sort of hitting.
Yeah, that's thing.
But it's at least great he's willing to tell stories that most people won't
Right.
or don't. So
Yeah, exactly. Like at least he did something different, and congratulations for that. I was never a huge Disney fan and watched Warner Brothers cartoons, and I love the Runner cartoons. But I didn't really appreciate Disney animation until that first Disney book came out, The Illusion of Life.
yeah, great book.
The big red book, and then that kind of blew me away, and I realized how good they were, and was quite intimidated by seeing that, thinking I could never do anything that great. But when I started out in animation, I had zero interest in Disney movies.
Yeah, I'm not too similar.
Yeah, compared to most people, usually when you say like you're interested in animation, you're like, oh, you're going to work for Walt Disney.
Right.
No. All those painful pediatric appointments.
I did apply to get hired at Bakshi's on the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a lot of people worked on that.
Yeah, they didn't hire me, and then I got the Simpsons gig.
That's awesome.
Well, that led
worked
nowhere.
I have a similar story I'll tell you about later. But I have a question. Just if you could say anything that you would say to like young artists trying to get into animation or do comics or anything like that. Any advice you could give?
Well, always it's if you make your own short film, you're going to learn more about everything than if you would do anything else. Just make a 2-minute short film.
Yeah, I want to ask you how your son has been enjoying One Piece, because I know you said you were watching with him. Has he been? Did he skip the middle part as well? What has he been enjoying? Because we don't. I mean, we have a lot of fans, I think, around his age, but we don't get to ask that
He's
question.
watched every single episode. He's he's loving it. Yeah, it's an amazing show.
It just never ends. There's so much of it. I'm really glad he's enjoying it. I'm hoping, you know, one day you'll have the time to fully consume One Piece. I know you have to sit. It's a real.
I know. I would love to just go back and rewatch starting from where I left off at the beginning, episode 25 or something.
At the very least, Bryan could explain the entire thing to you, I think.
In detail.
Yeah. Ed, did you have a question?
How did your brain hold all that in?
It started very young. That's how.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time with friends.
And we bring him on the show and make sure we refresh his memory as often as possible.
Yeah. Keep him frosty.
You got to start him young. That's the key.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, Wes. It's been a real pleasure, and we're all huge fans of everything you've done. You've had such
literally everything you've done.
Literally.
Yeah. I don't know if Bryan told you before he came on the show, but we reference The Simpsons constantly on this show, much to the confusion of a lot of our listeners. At least at the very beginning, we've gotten a whole bunch of them to watch The Simpsons since then. So
and Rick and Morty. And,
yeah.
Do you continue to watch Simpsons every Sunday night, or every season?
I will be honest and say I have not watched The Simpsons in a very long time, aside from my reruns.
Mm-hmm. So you mostly quote like the first
first 10 maybe 10 11.
Yeah. I think they're on season 28,
26. Yeah, I think they're working on 28 right now.
So we saw the things of some of the crossovers that they've done, and the little bit of One Piece insert that they did have last season or the season before.
Wow, I didn't see that.
It was
it was one of the couch gags.
Yeah, where a bunch of them were dressed up as anime characters in One Piece,
and Zoro was there. I mean, Homer was Zoro. Yeah,
right.
I'll look it up.
And you obviously know about the Rick and Morty crossover too, so it all comes together there. And a crazy thing is that I think the first Tracy Ullman shorts premiered a week after I was born.
Huh.
Wow.
So I think I've only had that 1 week without The Simpsons in existence.
Yeah, I've been watching The Simpsons since the Tracy Ullman show because my mother was a fan of the show. So when they got the Christmas special, I was like, oh, I know that show.
Yeah, and I think the Christmas special or season 1 began the year I was born. So
wow,
what a terrible time it was before those existed.
Wow, you guys make me feel old.
Yeah, totally.
Jesus.
I'm sorry to do that, but it has been around for 26-7 years. So it's not. I mean, One Piece is just about to hit 20, and
yeah, it'll get up there.
I think it has a decent amount more episodes now. I remember when One Piece passed over The Simpsons episode with the episode number count. That was a while ago now, but
crazy.
Yeah, when you have to do an episode every single week, that'll happen.
Well, that's an alternate reality where I'm still animating on The Simpsons to this day. I've been on that one show my entire career.
Yeah, if somehow
Job
The Simpsons.
Wow,
that's true.
Not a bad alternate reality.
No, it's true. You don't have to jump around, but then you don't have all these other great shows you got to work on as well. It was such a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you coming on.
Well, I'll try to watch as much One Piece as I can and get caught up.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. You're welcome to join us when you're caught up if you want to
give us updates.
Yeah,
podcast.
And we're always up for talking about Lupin and JoJo and all that. So yeah.
Now, are you going to travel to Japan to see the movie?
Well,
if people donate enough to our Patreon,
you got to go just to get that newspaper.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The volume 777?
No, there's also a newspaper that's coming out in addition to the volume. They have a special volume and a special newspaper.
We've got a couple of friends in Japan that we can probably get us to get the hookup.
That would be like the ultimate.
Yeah, we have one guy who's a quasi One Piece celebrity who also writes articles for the official sites, and I'm sure he could send us at least one, hopefully.
Well, he's listening to this.
But we should go, Bryan. We should just duck out of work and go.
Yeah, they won't miss a sore week.
I'm sure Rick and Morty fans would be patient enough.
How much does it cost for a ticket over there?
500,
No, more than
800.
that. Oh, well,
Yeah.
from LA, yeah.
All right, LA. Yeah, I'm thinking East Coast.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's one way too. So
That's about right.
You know, we should come up with a bucket list of things to do there.
definitely
just-
go to.
Just go visit. Just go to Studio Ghibli and
Yeah.
see the One Piece movie.
Well, they have the One Piece Tokyo Tower, the entire, Tokyo Tower, or there's a part of the Tokyo Tower. They have this whole One Piece exhibit.
I definitely want to go to the Bar Tea restaurant, the
Yeah.
One Piece restaurant. That'd be cool.
All anime fans got to do their birthright trip to Japan.
Yeah. I'm sure that if you guys told Roland that you were going, he'd be like, "All right, well, just bring me back a whole bunch of Nintendo shit."
Yeah. Definitely want to go.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure.
We'll see you in Japan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, Wes.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
I know.
Later, Wes.
This is the anime recap for episode 745, Sun's Cups, the Straw Hat Fleet is formed. And the title card begins at 4 minutes and 39 seconds. I am your host, Sam, and today with us we have Ed.
Hello.
And then we also have our good friend Steve. How's it going, Steve?
Hey there, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Just getting right into it. Just going through the main staff credits. We got screenplay by Tomohiro Nakayama. Like I don't read these before I start saying them out loud. So
It's more fun that way.
yeah. Episode director and storyboard artist is Yoshihiro Ueda, and animation director is Shuichi Ito. And then from there, you guys ready to get on to the recap?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so our episode begins with just some random pirate crew sort of huddling around Luffy and Law's faces in the newspaper, really mad at them for beating Doflamingo and basically sort of ending all of their basically their black market shady deals and whatnot.
This episode makes these guys seem a lot more dangerous than they actually are.
Yeah. I don't recall them getting this much screen time, so I actually really
I had to
appreciate
go
this.
find the chapter again just to make sure they weren't filler, because that's how it felt.
No,
Especially...
but watching this, you get the sense that, oh, Luffy needs to watch out in the new world. These guys are after him. But no, that's not going to happen at all.
Yeah,
quite.
and so yeah, they're getting ready to fight Luffy and Law, and there's even one guy who's got like a robot mole hand thing going on. There's actually a surprising amount of like designed characters in this crowd, but it's a huge fleet of enemy pirates, and they've got bones to pick with Luffy and Law. We see Bartolomeo beginning to pour his sake. We see the sort of the different sizes between the different fleet commanders. It's kind of funny as they're sort of pouring each individual cup, and Luffy's cup is like gold and really big.
He's the boss.
Yeah, he's not amused by this whole thing though. We see his face in the reflection of the sake, and he seems a little miffed about something. And he just says, "I'm not going to drink this," and everyone's sort of having this big freak out moment. And then Bartolomeo he continues to try to explain why it's so important that they form this fleet, and how just everyone here is offering their strength to Luffy to sort of take on the new world and the emperors and what have you.
And Luffy's all like, baby, I need my space. Just let me have my space.
Yeah.
Hey, is that food?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's they sort of get into like a little argument about this, and Luffy is just really not feeling it. He states that I just want to be king of the pirates. I don't want to be someone important, which sort of surprises
Total
everyone.
sense.
Like that seems like a bit of an oxymoron. And even Law's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? We see Zoro's already like going straight for the sake. He's like dipping his hand in there and like scooping it up and drinking it for himself. And even like Frankie, Robin, and Usopp are all, hey, we might as well drink some too. And the fleet commanders aren't really amused by that because it's meant for Luffy. But we see Luffy sort of grabbing onto the rail of the ship and sort of zipping himself up above and sort of addressing the whole crowd, saying, "Hey, when we think we're in danger, we'll give you a shout, and we'll do the same for you. If we'll come to your rescue if you ever need it." But I don't want to be. I don't want to be anyone's boss. Let's just stay friends for now. And Barto's sort of amazed by this, and he starts to sort of cry happy tears and what have you. And then that's when the pirates at the beginning of the episode show up, and they're here to sink, the Yonta fleet and what have you.
The Anonymous Alliance.
Yeah, and we see the citizens of Dressrosa still on the dock, still trying to keep Fujitora from letting the big ball of rubble drop on Luffy and friends. But then the rubble does start to drop, but exclusively on the bad guys, exclusively on these nameless pirates who just showed up out of nowhere.
Tremendous display of control of his devil fruit by Fujitora there.
Yeah, it is, and specifically we see Pika's butt just sort of falling on top of all the ships, and that's it's sort of done deal.
Atomic ass drop.
Yeah. This is my farewell gift to you, Straw Hat, is what Fujitora says, still sort of watching the ships sail away in the distance. And then we immediately cut back to Bartolomeo and the rest of the fleet commanders, basically as if nothing has happened, as if they weren't just being attacked by pirates 5 seconds ago. They decide that you can do whatever you want, but so can we. So they decide to pour the sake anyway and share a drink and swear their allegiance to Luffy. And we hear the OST track Luffy's Fierce Attack, which is I really love that song. It's one of those ones that just sort of makes every scene cooler, and that's sort of what's going on here. They drink their cups. We see this big group shot of the main commanders all sort of sharing their drink in unison. Suddenly Bartolomeo's starting to cry again because he's so happy. And that's sort of the eye catch just for that halfway episode. He's one of those
for a while.
Episode. What?
Yeah, he's one of those emotional drunks.
Yeah. Yeah, so they set their drinks down. We see the rubble like falling around them in slow motion, even though they seem to be moving in normal speed, which is kind of a weird effect.
Are they moving?
It looked like it. Like there's this little animation of them like setting their cups down, and they're like in normal motion, but all the rubble is in like this weird slow motion. And then we see
it's like the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, right?
I guess
when the Death Egg explodes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then the party begins. There's food. Luffy's chowing down on some cooked fighting fish. It's just this giant fish that they're just
making love to it.
They're just eating.
All over that thing.
They drop sail. The ships drop sail. The rubble's still falling, but still conveniently avoiding the fleet and the Straw Hats and the friends and what have you. I shouldn't say this out loud, but thank you for cleaning up the world government's mess, is what Fujitora says when we're back to the mainland of Dressrosa. And we see Fujitora, we see Sengoku sneaking up behind Fujitora saying, "I heard you." And Fujitora actually has, I think this is the only like shocked face we've seen of Fujitora so far. It's really funny looking.
It is kind of it's a pretty ridiculous face. It's a good payoff.
Yeah. So then they have their big kampai celebration, hitting their mugs together, and then we hear the melody of Hard Knock Days playing in the background.
Montage, Steve,
yes.
Don't you love a montage?
Gotta have a montage.
I actually really like that they included this. Like it felt like a good, it felt like a good cap for the arc.
Honestly, Dressrosa is so freaking long that I think it deserves a recap.
It deserves. These are my Hard Knock Days. Reading and watching this anime, especially watching this anime. These are my Hard Knock Days. You know that improves this opening song in my rankings. I'm sure because of the relevant lyrics.
You're just.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I actually really like it when they use like insert songs in the soundtrack. I wish they did it more often. The last time
I haven't. I'm sorry not to cut you off. This reminded me of the end of Alabasta.
The end of Alabasta, the end right before the time skip when they play that cover of We Are, and then they also play We Go when they're resurfacing from Fishman Island.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's one of those moments basically, and I really like that, and I want to see it like in the middle of arcs.
And also,
In the future.
I think this is gonna be one of the last episodes to have Hard Knock Days as an opening. I think the new opening starts in 2 weeks, right?
I imagine. I like just the fact that they're using it this episode made me think that maybe this is going to be the last time they use it, but I don't know for sure.
And also, I noticed with these clips, it was really just throws it through Luffy's perspective. Like we didn't see the green bit stuff and all
not
that.
at all. Not at all.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we don't see Zoro and Pika at all, which is too bad. That would have looked really cool in the montage, but
Yeah, that's true. And then once the song wraps up, we move back to Kyros and Rebecca, just sort of watching the ocean, just staring out as you do. And then I can't remember, is this movie 9 music or is this like movie 10 music? I can't remember which track it was.
got the wrong guys on the podcast for this one.
It's one of those like really pretty and uplifting kind of songs, and I really like the song. Like we get the Hard Knock Days insert, and then we get this little sequence which I like, and then we're back to the party, and there's actually a scene where like they're all drunk, and Cavendish is like trying to jump on the back of his horse for a rule, but he like slides off weirdly. Like he jumps on the back, and then for some reason just sort of spins and falls off. We see Zoro trying to like one arm hug Law and being like, "Hey man, let's be bros."
Law's not having that at all. He's injured.
The Tontada chief is popping out of Robin's boobs again, and then we get.
When did you get in there?
Yeah, and then we see this another montage of specifically the fleet commanders just sort of showing off their powers. It's not like it almost looks like it was footage used from other places in the arc, but it's all original stuff, I think, for the most part. And then the episode wraps up with a pretty hefty narration that goes something like, by a quirk of fate or chance, these 7 extraordinary men gathered together and insisted on becoming Straw Hat Luffy's followers. They will develop themselves individually hereafter and will eventually cause a major incident that will go down in history. But that's a story that no one could have known at this time. And then that's sort of how they leave us off with. So basically, after 100 episodes, the message is ultimately, this is only just the beginning.
No, they've done this exact speech once before, which was when Blackbeard defeated Ace. And you know what that led to, so this is what you're supposed to expect now.
Mm-hmm. So probably just hopefully they're just talking about a couple arcs ahead and not like 15.
Well, things get more, I don't know, there's less story left at this point.
Right, exactly. But yeah, that's the episode. It was kind of hard to talk through because there wasn't a whole lot to discuss. Yeah, I mean, like I really like the montage. Like whenever they do bring in those insert songs, like that's like super up my alley. Like that's exactly what I want to see more of. So I was happy to see that. But for the most part, yeah, not a lot to say as an episode for sure. Any lingering thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, it's the classic take an entire episode to get one point across.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was bad.
Just...
This sounds like me every time I come on Anime Cup. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was great.
It was pleasant. It was pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I think the characters were drawn pretty well. I don't remember anything looking too janky and weird. I think they got to expand a little upon some of like the gags, like Zoro drinking the sake. That was pretty entertaining. Then him being like, "Come on, Law, quit being such a prick and have fun." And he's like, "No, damn you in your fun. Fun is not cool." It was a fine episode. Honestly, I didn't feel like I was sitting through it just trying to get to the end like I did some of the previous episodes. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I honestly like this one a little bit better than the ones with Fujitora. So
yeah, those ones dragged a ton because I think they were like straight up adapting like half a chapter at a time for a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was pretty much exactly one chapter, so we sort of back to basics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess ready to move on to the next segment of the podcast, you guys?
Yep.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See you then.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories. Alex, you're going to start us off on some Piece Together this week, aren't you?
I am.
On Reddit is what I meant.
Yes, specifically on Reddit. I am excited it and Reddit it.
Wow.
That's a good one there. Okay.
That was pretty good.
Thanks. Thank you.
I found that hilarious.
Yeah, I bet you did. These are the jokes. All right, Super Dubes. Before he answers or asks his question, he sends us a little comic that he drew of Rick and Morty pertaining to the One Piece Reddit. So it's kind of funny. Check it out if you want. And he says...
The One Piece podcast Reddit.
Yes. Now, he says, I've been thinking about the red poneglyphs lately and thought about earlier theories that incorporated the title art for the show and saying that the red Luffy represented the red line. I'd like to pose it the idea that maybe it actually represents a red poneglyph. Maybe the fourth poneglyph is actually a person or people, like a person named D, perhaps. 3 poneglyphs used to triangulate the location of Raftel, but then the island only appears for a D that is looking for it. That's not a bad theory.
It sounds bad out of context, but yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't think that it has anything to do with the logo at all, but...
Yeah, maybe.
But if that helps get the wheels turning, then hey.
Does anyone else have any? No?
No.
Sounds like no. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's cromulent.
Thank you. There you go.
Thank you. Yes. Superlong_0 asks, do any of you guys read American comic books, or do y'all stick to manga? Well.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to read. It's hard for me to read mainstream comics.
You're talking, of course, about DC and Marvel.
Yeah, because DC just did another freaking reboot. Not like I've been reading, but at this point, it's like I do. Give me something self-contained. Like I've read more. DC, I haven't read too much, but I've read more self-contained Batman stories.
Yeah,
than anything
Batman's
else.
just a better character for that too.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of the what's the communist Superman one too? What the Red Sun, Red Dawn?
Yeah, Red Star.
Red Sun.
Red Sun.
Red Sun? Yeah, that's Red Sun.
Yeah. I used to be a huge Marvel head. I would have a pull box every week that had like 8 or 9 titles in it, and it got really expensive to buy single issues. So I stopped a couple years ago, mainly due to the fact that the X-Men versus Avengers crossover was really dumb, and that like soured me on everything, and they just kept rebooting everything, and there was no status quo anymore. So I kind of fell off of Marvel, with the exception of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, which I love. I think that was a really great run that he did. Basically, it depends on who's writing and who's drawing these days for me to jump on a comic. But outside of the Marvel stuff, I love Saga. I think Saga is brilliant.
Saga's dope.
It looks very good. I haven't picked it up. I always see it show up, but
actually, the funny thing is, there's only one DC series that I've been reading, or at least I picked up the second trade for, was Batgirl, because I like I do like
that's a good trade.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with that character. I like Babs Tarr's artwork. I don't know what the hell's going on with this freaking reboot. But leave the good shit alone. Don't. Yeah. There's no need to reboot that.
The general advice I have for getting into or pursuing any sort of American comics, you just have to remember that American comics are just a silly, silly place. Like everyone's so up in arms about the recent Captain America reveal, but like most of you kids don't remember, Captain America was a werewolf in the 90s.
Yeah. The status quo changes a lot, and they do things that are even more ridiculous than that. So it's not worth getting your panties in a bunch.
Yeah, so that's why you kind of have to wait until you get a good writer-artist combo, hear about when they're doing interesting stuff, and then follow and pursue it, and just keep a general idea of who these characters are, because many of them we grew up with from America's culture, like Superman. We all know the history of Krypton and all that stuff in Batman's origin story. So if you just understand the basic ideas of who these characters are, just pick it up when you hear like, oh, this run on Batwoman's really good, or this She-Hulk's awesome, or this like Captain America run is awesome too. So it's like it's not so important. You need to start from the beginning and understand all the different aspects of the lore, because this mostly gets rewritten, and it's mostly from people who are just being paid shitty to try to produce like content so that they can fill up what newspapers and magazines stand. So yeah.
No, very, very true. But one thing you also have to remember about American comics is that like, Saga is a good example of this. There's a lot of American comics that are outside of the big two. Bone is my favorite comic outside of One Piece, and
Bone is amazing.
If you have never read Bone, what are you doing? Get on that right now.
Not reading Bone.
It's amazing. Yeah, clearly.
I still haven't read Bone.
It's amazing.
Way too long.
It's so good, and it's all available. I mean, it ended years ago.
Yeah, you can easily get through Bone in like maybe a weekend and a half.
Yeah,
because it's mostly visual anyway.
Yeah, it's oh God, it's so good. Bone is amazing, and I'm a huge fan of Parker by Darwin Cook. He recently passed away.
Yeah, I read the first volume of that. I need to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, Parker's amazing. It's basically Darwin Cook did an adaptation of Richard Stark's Parker, which is a sort of crime noir book series, and he was the one person that Richard Stark trusted with the actual character of Parker to make an adaptation for. So I would also recommend that. Eric Powell is an amazing artist as well. He did Goon, or The Goon rather. So check that out. If anybody else has any favorites.
If you want to go like 90s, The Tick, done by what's his face? I can't think of his name right.
Ben Edlund.
Yeah, Edlund. Anything from Neil Gaiman, Sandman, and a buddy of mine tried to get me into Cerebrus. I remember starting that. You have to kind of like understand the like Conan, Frankenfurter era, and all that like kind of barbarian mysticism, but that's another very interesting outside the mainstream comic series.
Black Sad is still like one of my favorite comics outside of manga.
That's Europe.
Yeah, that's Europe. I was gonna say, I'm like, I can't really say that's American because it is European, but it's awesome, and I feel like I have to mention it. It's like when idiots say, "Man, Scott Pilgrim's my favorite American comic." Like, it's Canadian, dipshit. It takes place in Canada. Yeah. But I don't know. It's much harder for me to get into comics these days. I have to go off of recommendations, and not being in school anymore, I really don't know what's cool and what's not cool. So
nice. All right. _0 also says, for a theory, I believe the person on the cover of 631 with Crocus is Roger's second mate, Scopper Gaban, and I think he will show up in the Wano arc somewhere. Also, happy 7-year anniversary. Love the show. Thanks, super_0. Prince Cheddar says, I think Pudding is sincere in wanting to help the Straw Hats. It's rather hard to explain. The last 2 chapters, there have been a large focus on the wedding cake and Big Mom wanting to eat it. What makes a wedding cake a wedding cake? The little bride and the groom on the top. And this will most likely be a very large wedding cake. So I predict Pudding has greatly overestimated her immunity to her mother's wrath because both she and Sanji will refuse to marry, and they'll both be trapped on top of the cake with Big Mom planning to eat the cake and the two of them together.
Is this going to be a Mr. 3 scenario?
That sounds exactly like Mr. 3.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I thought the people at the top of the cake weren't edible. Usually, I mean, traditionally.
I don't know.
Unless you make it out of like chocolate.
That's an interesting theory. Unless there's a marzipan island, because I think most little cake toppers are made out of marzipan.
Well, she likes eating people, I think, is what he's going for here.
Oh yeah, well, she definitely likes eating people. I mean, we've seen.
We're also dealing with a world you can eat houses, so
that's definitely true. Yes. Super Dubes is back with another question. But he just thought of this. What if Big Mom names all of her children and daughters after food? Well, we already have pudding, and Lola could be a play on the word lollipop. And if people are right about Bonnie's relation to Big Mom, Bonnie
they
could
aren't. Sorry.
The rest of that sentence was she could be bonbons.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of clever.
I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of food Lola would be, but lollipop kind of makes sense.
I don't think all women in the One Piece world are related to Big Mom.
Yeah, the ones that are named after birds aren't.
That's true. That's true. 100 Beast Kaido says, if you had to go on a planes, trains, and automobiles like road trip with a One Piece character, who would it be? And this thread has actually expanded a little bit with clarification that we are supposed to be Steve Martin in this situation. If
Yeah,
you haven't seen
I figured that. For
Frankie.
the kids in the audience.
Frankie's very John Candy.
Mm.
And he could be a car himself. Make
Ooh.
himself a car.
that's a good point.
Planes, trains, and Frankie mobiles.
Frankie was honestly the first character to come to mind, so I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good one. I was going to say Robin because there would be no chance that I'd get annoyed with her. Because I keep thinking, because I think to myself, like, if
You're
I'm
just
Steve
feeding the
Martin,
purpose of the question, Alex.
if I'm Steve Martin in this scenario, I'm gonna, I just want to wring that person's neck, and I don't want to do that to Frankie or Brooke or any other One Piece.
Well, you wouldn't be able to get your hands around Frankie's neck, so.
That's true, and Brooke has no neck barely any neck to begin with.
On a similar note, I was thinking Jaguar D. Saul. He seems like an excellent traveling companion for that.
Yeah, let's try to fit him into a tiny car.
Yeah.
Prince of Assassins says, I was watching Movie 9, which is the episode of Chopper Plus, and wondered what other arcs you'd be interested in having an alternate version of what happened for a movie idea.
Yeah, Black North Wind mentioned Skypiea, which
I think Skypiea would work pretty well. I think that's a pretty condensed story that, let's be honest, is very stretched out in the anime and the manga.
that's a good
Yes.
point.
Just let Enru be ridiculous. That's great.
Yeah, I think you could. I think it, and it has such a good arc,
Well, considering his popularity as a character in Japan, I'm surprised they haven't attempted that already.
and you just take out the Jaya stuff, and it's fine. I
Yeah,
think.
it's very self-contained. I feel like the reason that the Alabasta movie doesn't work very well is because there's so much context that you need to give, and there's so much of it that is not given in the movie. So it's just this slapdash, wacky, like, what the hell is going on sort of movie.
Well, you can
Yeah,
even
you-
keep Jaya now that I think about it.
Yeah, you
It's
can
not
almost treat the Skypiea movie with the Straw Hats as secondary characters.
Who would be the main characters in this case?
It would be the
Viper?
Wiper and the
the
Sandorians.
Shandorians. I would watch that, and now I want to watch that. Like just Skypiea condensed and with really good animation sounds fun.
It's like Black North Wind predicted what we were going to say.
I can't think of another answer.
Oh, the
Yeah, 'cause
Arlong
everything
one,
else is too
probably.
big.
No,
They might have done
Arlong.
that.
Arlong's got too much context.
Yeah, there's a
before
lot
it.
of context.
Well, they already made an Arlong special.
Exactly.
That's
Oh, yeah,
true.
that's true.
Yeah.
That was already made. And I was going to say Zoe because it's nice and compact, but there's so much, like most of Zoe is just information.
Yeah.
It's an information dump, that arc.
Exposition.
Yeah. So
I mean, I
maybe-
guess you could
maybe
do that
Punk
without
Hazard?
that.
Punk Hazard might make a good movie arc.
Yeah. I could see that happening,
There's a-
actually.
Bunch of fluff in that. So
In all, I hate to say this, but if it was somewhat restructured, I think Fishman Island. I think for the same reason of Skypiea.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Honestly, once you get past like the Baroque work saga, it gets much harder.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to think of the most self-contained arcs, and those would work.
God
Throw it
damn
apart.
it! Fucking Dressrosa would be Lord of the Rings.
Oh my god, it
Uh,
already was. I mean,
Actu-
it's basically that.
actually, you know what? I'm going to say Dressrosa because, like, you could trim a whole lot of fat off of that.
Yeah,
And I would want to watch that.
I think it would be cool if they made like the Colosseum the whole thing, and it was all in the Colosseum, basically.
I don't know. I like this Dressrosa trilogy idea.
No, let's make it 5
We will
parts.
take the boy Momonosuke back to my kingdom of Wano.
What's next?
Steak and Salad says, "Hey OPP, will you guys restart Toonami recaps? I know we're currently in Thriller Bark, but it was a real interesting thing listening to you guys discuss the storyline. At least when things get monstrous on Thriller Bark, maybe."
Well,
Well, the problem is at the moment is how long does it take us to record an episode, guys? Like
too
even-
long. Too long.
I think we record usually like for those who are curious, so somewhere from like 7 to 11 p.m. or 7:30 to 11 p.m.
Yeah. Well,
and
I'm
then
not
I
gonna
edit for an hour or something, and then blah blah
That's
blah.
that's an entire like hour's worth of preparation.
So in
Yeah.
addition, we would have to watch the episode, which
Also, which one of us has cable?
I
I
have
get-
cable.
I get Cartoon
Oh,
Network on my Sling TV.
yeah, I get
All
it.
these
I get it
cable
on my
covers.
computer.
It's on really late. I've seen the episodes.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you are interested in a Toonami recap,
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Psy live
Yeah.
it every week. So steak and salad, you're in luck if you're itching for that.
I think the new Toonami recap is just Psy's Twitter feed on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do it again. It's just it's very time consuming. And-
Especially for me, because I was taking notes on all those episodes.
right, and you have to take notes to recap like a episode properly, I think. And Sam, and you could tell we don't have time because the anime recap I've kind of given to Sam because that takes like it puts like an extra hour and a half onto the schedule for me or Ed or whoever is doing that. So it's been a huge weight lifted having him helm that. And I wish I could be on for all of them, but sometimes, just time constraints and work. And one of these days, maybe, but I want to close the door on it. I mean, it was fun doing them, but I'm going to just stop talking now.
Well, it's getting to the point where you don't even have to recap the anime episodes you guys did when you first started the podcast.
That's kind of the thing. It's about to cross over into our anime recaps probably in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when Shabandi starts on Toonami, but they're not that far away. And at that point, we have all of those anime recaps. You could listen to those. All right, what's next?
Tababoon says, "Hey OPP, just wondering if any of you believe there's any possibility of Sanji getting married and leaving the crew by force or by choice. And also, do you think any crew member will leave the crew again? If so, who?"
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
I mean,
No.
temporarily, sure, but like not permanently.
Yes. I mean, no.
There's too little time left in the story to have. They're already separated enough. Well, I don't think one Straw Hat's going to get any more isolated.
Yeah, one day, chapters just could be like, you know what? I don't know if this is for me.
I gave it a shot. Give the old college try, but being a pirate, not my thing.
I've
Takes
been
a lot
here
of
for a
time.
few years,
Besides, I'm a reindeer. My lifespan's another year and a half anyway, maybe.
I
That's
could
the
go back.
process.
I could go back home with what I've learned, and I could see where life takes me now.
You're
We
right.
wish-
Reindeers only live 15 years.
It's like we announced that Tony Chopper has been released from the Straw Hat Pirates. We wish him well on all his future endeavors.
Replaced by Tony Tone.
Ah, that
Or do, you
feels
mean,
good.
or do you mean Tony?
However it goes.
You know, the band.
Yeah.
That's who he
Yeah.
was referencing. Yeah.
Tony,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was a reference to Rick and Morty about
A little
referencing
both.
that band.
Yeah.
Right. So, Black Northwind says, "This might be a rather old question, but do any of you think that Dragon, before he formed the revolutionary,
It's a tongue twister. Revolutionary Army is what dude's trying to say.
do you think Dragon, before he formed the Revolutionary Army, that he worked in the Navy? I don't think that he was an admiral, but he might have been somewhere between captain to rear admiral rank." Well, if he's Garp's son,
Yeah.
then more than likely Gorp.
My son is also named Gorp.
My son is also named Gorp. We're out of Gorp license plates.
Which
Uh,
Wes also did that episode.
Yep, he sure did. Since he is Garp's son, I can imagine that Garp at least tried to force him to join the Marines at some point.
I agree. And I think Dragon probably learned too much. Kind of the same way that
Smoker.
Saul and Smoker.
Maybe
Saul
also
more
Garp is a
specifically.
terrible father. Well, he's a terrible grandfather. He's probably a terrible father too. So who knows what
Well,
happened?
the weird thing is, I was rewatching the Marineford episodes, the dub with you, Ed, and it's not. He was a neglectful grandfather, but he cared. He wasn't like. He didn't like. Well, he did abuse them.
He threw them into a valley.
and threw him on balloons.
Yeah.
He's the love-matic grandpa, guys. He's got fists of love.
He'll fill our hearts with love.
Well, here's an interesting thing. We know Dragon was at Roger's execution, and he didn't have the tattoos then. Did he have the tattoos when
That's true.
during the Sabo Ace flashback?
I know. No,
I don't know.
I don't know
think he did.
actually.
Okay, so if he was in the Marines, potentially he could have been a Marine around then, or maybe shortly before then.
Curious.
I mean, there's no way of knowing. He's kind of in this like middle. We've talked about this before. This middle area. He's not a pirate. He's not a Marine. He's fighting for his sense of justice in a way. So I would not be surprised to end that. What's next?
Yeah. Hello, One Piece. Oh, this is we got we got to offer him more. Says hello, One Piece podcast. What arcs, in your opinion, are the ones that, upon rewatch, you find yourself going, "Oh yeah, I forgot that happened" the most? In my opinion, Shabandi always re-surprises me with the first part and all of the things that happen there. I have one right off the bat actually. There's a part in Marineford where Akainu actually kills a guy for running away.
Yeah.
Because he's like, "Oh, but I have a family," and then he kills the guy, like he melts him, which is like
Sick.
super messed up.
He's super messed up.
And I completely forgot that happened. Like in the manga, I thought that was like an anime thing, and then like, whoa,
No.
that actually happened.
I think for me, it's probably Alabasta, because when I was catching up to the series, like everything from the big, I would say everything from Barty to Skypiea, I was just like blazing through. And not until I like reread the series, like many years later, of course, but I reread the series, and there's all the stuff where Luffy and company are traveling through the desert. It's only like a couple of chapters, but like I forgot they go to that one ruined town, and then like Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy knock over a building in frustration because Vivi's feeling bad about leaving her country or something of that nature.
Alabasta has a lot of really fun little things in the middle that I forgot about until the read through. Yeah.
For me, Thriller Bark, I guess, is the big one because I had only read through it like once, and then after rereading through it, I learned to appreciate it more. And that entire thing was basically, oh yeah, I forgot this happened. AKA, I forgot how funny this arc is.
A lot of things I forgot were from the beginning of the series because I was more familiar with the anime adaptation, and a lot of stuff was cut in the anime.
Yeah, everything from Enies Lobby onward, I can remember panel for panel since I have a good visual memory.
That must be good in your field.
It helps.
Yeah. Dude, what's the next question?
Weezer Mallory says, hey guys, let me start off by saying you all have made me laugh a lot this past month when I really didn't have a reason to be laughing. About 3 weeks ago, my very good friend passed away, and you guys have really helped lift my spirits. So thank you. Well, thank you, Weezer.
Thank you, Weezer.
Weezer, I can definitely sympathize, so you have my condolences.
Me too.
Yes, me as well.
And you're welcome. But anyway, to my question. Well, it's more of a theory. I was thinking about the weakling trio and what Oda could do to make them stronger. And so I remember Nami saying she wanted to have something like a magic wand. So whenever they learn the secret of putting devil fruits into an object, they infuse some sort of Logia fruit into Nami's new staff, essentially becoming a magic wand. I don't know what you guys think. I think Nami saying she wanted a magic wand was a scanslation error, actually. The correct translation, I think, was, now it's like a magic wand. Or I think that's what Usopp says. But the idea of Nami's Klimatact eating a devil fruit is definitely something that I'd like to see now.
It's a
Any
cool
kind
idea.
of devil fruit in particular you'd like it to eat?
Maybe like a tornado fruit. Like it'd have to be something weather related,
Yeah.
Actually, I prefer if it ate a Zoa.
Yeah? Like what?
Tasmanian devil.
Like a cat fruit, something that could like hang around the deck of the ship and like be purr and cute, and you can pet it.
Now that's just a Harry Potter
Damn it,
character.
Nami, your cat's hungry again.
No.
No, there's another way to say that, Steve. I need you to say it the correct way.
No.
No.
That's you've got something there. Maybe like a monkey, like a spider monkey, or a parrot, like a classic pirate pet.
Yeah, because I
Or
would
parrot.
still like her climactac to still maintain its properties. Because if it's like a Logia user, it's just use the Logia power all the time.
You know, I just realized the one thing One Piece is missing is a pirate with a parrot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's like something we need before the series is up. It would probably be Blackbeard because he's like the kind of the
Oh, he's gonna have like the grossest parrot of all time.
He's gonna have
Yeah.
a beard.
and he'll have and he'll definitely have Gilbert Gottfried's voice.
I feel like yeah, that needs to happen because since they're like the antithesis of the Straw Hats,
Mm-hmm.
they need a pet, right?
And their pet is going to be a parrot, but like a grotesque parrot.
Mm.
I want Blackbeard to be like Barbossa in Pirates of the Caribbean, where he constantly names his pet monkey after a character. So maybe he can name his pet monkey like Ace or Whitebeard. That would be hilarious.
I like that.
What's next?
Black Northwind says, "What kind of quirks do you want to see for future characters of the series? I, for one, want to see a character wears one specific type of color clothes." You mean like CP9? Because they just wear black.
I think I like a villain quirk. I guess he even means.
Before Corazon actually revealed he could talk, I was hoping. And Pika. I was hoping he actually got a proper mute, but that hasn't happened yet.
I don't think that's going to. Like Corazon, I think is the
Closest we're gonna get there.
yeah. And there was that character in the fourth One Piece movie with the claws. He didn't talk, I think.
Ooh, man, I have to rewatch that movie.
Now I want a villain like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget,
Who we never see.
where
just
we
his
never
arm.
see his face. It's just his arm and a.
next time, Luffy.
Tell me you don't want to see that now.
Yep.
What's the last question we got?
Our last question is Amiibo Hunter 000 says, to continue the movie title Parody Legacy, I have some late entries. The obvious Django Unchained and Full Body Jacket. Now my question.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Not to mention the combination of Django and Full Body. After my own heart. And he says, you've talked about the possibility of an Oni devil fruit. What if we have Kaido all wrong? What if he's actually a dragon who ate the Oni fruit? That might give credence to people calling him the most powerful creature thing alive. Now that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's been banted
that's
about
pretty
a little.
good. That is a pretty good theory.
Yeah, Wano's supposed to be like, that's where
Momotaro.
Ryuma slayed a dragon, right? And I feel like that means dragons are like a thing in Wano, maybe. So I don't know. That's a super interesting theory.
I mean, we can have a phoenix devil fruit. Why not a ogre?
Yeah.
Well, a dragon who had that's a cool idea. Maybe he's like half dragon, half man.
Well, no, kind of like Chopper. Like Chopper is a reindeer who ate the human fruit. This is sort of like that, but a much more grotesque version.
It can explain like his kind of like uneven temper. In addition to the drinking, he's just so distraught that he's like not a dragon anymore.
I mean, that would definitely fit Greg's theories along with like I think the more popular fan theories into an interesting twist. So I like that.
All right.
We got emails before we get to. I know Ed's all prepped to yell, but we got some emails. Sorry, guys.
Email.
First one comes from Drake. He's watching Robin's flashback and at Zach's favorite moment. Everyone knows what that is. He's being sarcastic. He had a thought about the poneglyphs. Now that we know a little bit more about Kozuki's involvement, the Kozuki clan. What do you think about the following theory? Maybe when the time comes for Robin to find out the name of the ancient kingdom, either during or after the main story, might the Straw Hats cross the Calm Belt to get to the ruins of O'Hara from the New World? And O'Hara may have been obliterated, but surely any poneglyph these scholars had in the Tree of Knowledge will have survived. And do you think Robin might learn the name of the ancient kingdom at least from there? Didn't she read it, though? That's my own...
I don't think she did.
She did read the poneglyph.
Yeah, I thought she did because she learned how to read it, and so... They were like, "Oh, you know how to read it? No, you were spying on us." Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I don't think they'll have to go back to O'Hara. That would be a really bittersweet moment for Robin, I think, too.
Maybe in the end of the series, but I don't think on the adventure.
Any other thoughts?
Nope.
All right, next one. The next one comes from Demetrio Andreas, who I'm sure I butchered the name of. Hey guys, Garp is one of my favorite characters simply because he doesn't care what he does as long as he gets to crack a few heads. Hashtag grandparent goals. Anyway, just want to get your
Who
thoughts.
hashtags an email?
Well, this person.
Kids. Fucking kids.
Anyway, just wanted to get your thoughts on the type of power you think he possesses. Essentially, everyone knows who he is, what he's capable of, and is feared by everyone. But the only real gauge we've seen is that his power rivaled Roger himself. What do you guys think?
He's just a strong guy.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Shanks. Sometimes guys just strong.
We don't know about Shanks yet.
They too, it seems at least.
Yeah. Any other
More
thoughts?
strong guys.
Any other thoughts on the world according to Gorp?
Nope. Sounds accurate.
I'm sorry, Garp. Anyway. Next one is Richie, who says happy anniversary. He remembers he jumped on board when you guys were still making your way through the climax of Ennius Lobby. That definitely, we were in podcasting back then, but probably the Toonami recaps.
Mm-hmm. That was a while ago too.
I think he's thinking of a different podcast because he also said the raw coverage of the 4Kids thing. We didn't really talk that much about that. We had one episode and then we forgot it ever existed.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Anyway, two things from him. One is for Steve, who is here. Heard you were down in Dallas during Akon. Didn't go this year, sadly. Otherwise, I would have swung by and got a pic with you. But saw that on Twitter. So he was curious if you were aware that there was another con going on at the same time called Dallas Fan Expo that was literally down the street. And if you looked into that.
My voice cracked a little bit.
That's so cute. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I heard about that as I was there, but I don't know, didn't really affect me, and there was still a lot of people at Akon. There was a lot of people at Akon. And if no one told me, I would have never known. Does that answer your question?
I guess that answers the question. The second one is One Piece related. Do you think that the warning from Peckham's? How are we pronouncing that? Peckham's.
I always said Peckham's, but I'm wrong about a lot of
yeah,
things.
you don't. Yeah,
It's
Peckham's. Beckham's was due to the fact that Germa 66, I still like 66 better, but whatever, caught wind of the Straw Hats, or double six, I guess is what it's supposed to be.
Execute Order 66.
Order double six.
Double six. Caught wind of the Straw Hats, which in turn led Big Mom to finding out. Maybe that is that he was hiding when they invaded the ship while they were gone and etched out the message before being captured. Maybe even possibly an incoming encounter with Sanji's father. What do you guys think?
Maybe Peckham's just dropped a mean old deuce in the bathroom.
Don't come in here.
And that's the warning he told him to turn away.
Turn back. It smells.
Do not go in there.
Turn back now. I just had Taco Bell for lunch.
I had Taco Bell for lunch. All right, next question comes from Blair. She has 3 Evenkopf questions, so of course I have to ask them. First, what do you think the relationship with him and the Revolutionaries is? Second, what is his relationship with Inazuma? And third, since he could be both male and female whenever he wants, can he have children?
Well, one.
Happy anniversary. Keep up the awesome work. Yes, Alex.
One, Ivankov is a member of the Revolutionaries.
Yep.
That's his relationship.
2, his relationship with Inazuma. They're really good friends.
Ooh.
Quotation marks on friends.
And 3, can he have kids?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Whether you're a male or a female, who cares? That's Inazuma. No, that's Ivankov.
Yeah, it's Ivankov.
Well, it's
Oh,
Inazuma's stance too. He's just like,
Stuck the
it's
landing.
like Inazuma. You just turn around, all of a sudden he's a female. It's like, hi, I'm a female now.
Not everybody's Dillinger. Not every character can be voiced by Paul Lynde, as much as I would love that.
It would be fantastic.
I love that you just went to your Paul Lynde voice for some reason. It made no sense.
Sorry, it's come back lately. So.
The next question is from Liam Tasker. Since we know Law's devil fruit can make people immortal, do you think that we'll ever meet a character who was made immortal by a previous user of the fruit? And are there any characters that have already been introduced that you think could be immortal?
We've had theories about that.
Please, Brian, enlighten me.
Oh, I haven't talked it. I know I must have talked about this before. I'm almost positive that the 5 Elder Stars are immortal.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know Kaido can't be killed somehow.
That's interesting because that is interesting. Who had the Ope Ope fruit before Barrels did?
We don't know.
Yeah.
But he was a Marine when he apparently acquired it and took off, or maybe that's not the case. But if he would have had some connection to the world government at some point. I have thought this theory way back in the O'Hara flashback, because usually Oda goes out of his way to show young versions of characters, but he intentionally obscured them.
No, you see them and they're the same age in almost every flashback you do see. We've talked about this with Greg.
That's the case, yeah.
Right, exactly. And that was, it wasn't that long ago. When you're an older person, you age slower in general, how you look. But I tend to agree. I think that's a good theory. Also, Doflamingo does know a lot of government secrets, so it would make sense that he would have learned that.
Secrets.
Exactly. Next question. Tony says, congrats again for 7 years. One of my favorite moments from the One Piece podcast was when Jammer seemingly killed Zakoff in the intro when he hosted while I was taking the bar exam. That was some good editing. But I came back from the grave. Ed, it's time for our favorite segment. It's time to
Piece the tweet. Yeah.
Wow, it's definitely time to piece the tweet. What
Force
questions?
Company was my favorite segment.
Liar.
I remember that.
It's true.
All right.
He hosted it, that's why. Go ahead.
Axe Hand Blorpkin asks. They've asked questions before. All right. If the Straw Hats go to a grocery store during Halloween, what monster-themed cereal would Nami let them buy?
It depends on how much she's lending to them.
They all cost the same, right?
Yeah, let's say they all cost the same.
Well, not quite if you're buying them on Amazon.
Chopper gets Fruit Brute.
Isn't Boo Berry one of them?
Yes.
Yes, Boo Berry and
It's Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke for sure.
It's Boo Berry, Frankenberry, and
Frankenberry's Frankie.
Of course it is. Of course
Yeah.
it is. Who's the count?
Count Chocula?
Yeah.
Usopp? Maybe Nom.
No. Usopp is, I think, Yummy Mummy.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Wouldn't they all agree on Count Chocula, considering how everyone's going gaga over chocolate as of late? So
Yeah.
Everyone's going gaga over Chocula.
and probably that's the only one that probably actually tastes good because I finally had those. We talked about it on 20 Minutes of Bullshit, and I'm like, well, this is mediocre.
You know what? I don't think I've ever had that cereal.
You got to combine all of them together, make a monster mash.
Oh Jesus!
Is it a graveyard smash?
Yeah, for your teeth.
We've talked a lot about cereal on these podcasts. You had like a whole 20 minutes episode about
We
cereal.
really like
we
cereal.
Dude,
Because I
have
think
you-
you understand your age demo right now.
Have you had Reese's Puffs, man? They look like dog food. but
Candy
they-
for
I
breakfast?
I have had Reese's Puff.
No,
No,
you dipshit.
cookie-
Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp. I don't remember being that good.
It was
I
not
don't
as
know.
good as it looked in the commercial.
No, it was.
Tastes like cookies.
You ever have a bad cookie, which can happen fairly often, like a
Yes.
freaking razor
Yeah.
sharp cookie?
Just snaps in your mouth.
Now, pour yourself a bowl of those.
What?
And-
Hold on.
and-
When have you ever had a razor sharp cookie?
When I tried Cookie Crisp.
That's not a cookie. It's a cereal.
Okay, sometimes you get those store bought, like, oh hey, our bakery made these cookies.
No,
Like, cool,
I know
I'll
what
get those.
Steve's talking about. Just like hard, nasty
Yeah,
cookies. Yeah, just like
Crumbly,
that's not
crunchy.
appetizing.
Yeah, no.
Look, man. If somebody gives me a chocolate,
You gotta go to
cookie-
you gotta go to Costco, man. Get those Kirkland fucking chocolate chip cookies.
Look, dog. If somebody gives me a chocolate chip cookie and I can't like bite through it, then I'm putting that shit in the trash can.
No, Steve, haven't you had insomnia cookies? I think they probably are out there in LA now too.
Somnia cookies?
Insomnia. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
can't
that's
sleep.
that place that like is up until 4 in the morning and they
Ye-
deliver cookies.
Yep. And they're fantastic.
For stoners.
It's especially for stoners, but it is, even if you're a non-stoner, it's
Don't
delicious.
tell me that, guys, because I just went to Red Robin yesterday and I found out that it had bottomless root beer floats. I'm like, yeah, just keep those coming.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I quit soda because then I'd be like, see you guys.
I
Wes
did
Archer
too.
can wait,
but-
I gotta go to get
Well, it's not like I'm gonna have a freaking seltzer float. Because I'd throw up.
You know, I'd say we're off topic, but we are in the Whole Cake Island arc here, so it's not.
Yeah, I've
completely
just
off
done on
topic.
talking about furniture food the last couple of weeks. So
What's next, Ed?
Baki Ichigo asks, if each of the presidential candidates were pirates, what would be on their Jolly Rogers?
There's only 2 left, maybe 2.5 at this point.
Wow.
Sorry, Brian.
Don't talk that way about Chris Christie. He's fetching Donald Trump's McDonald's. That's a serious test of trust.
Wait, that wasn't an Onion article?
I'm pretty
That
sure
really
Hillary's pirate flag was "I'm destined to be President King."
Well, that's not a flag. That's a slogan.
can it just be one of
That's what
just
they're
be
at.
one of her creepy smiles?
The President King, is that a home movies reference?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I love that sketch. I mean, obviously, Trump's would have his ridiculous hair, and there would be a fly trapped on it.
The
and the Nazi swastika behind it.
yeah, he'd be Whitebeard's old flag, except
That's a Buddhist symbol, Brian.
yeah, no, except the editor's note would be like, normally this was a symbol for Buddhist monks back in the day, but this is not the case. This is a swastika. This is racist.
Okay, Steve won that one. Let's go to the next question.
Our very own William asks, which One Piece devil fruit would you give to a real-life celebrity and why? He would give the Tun fruit to a wrestler because he wants people to die, apparently.
What? Oh,
The Tun fruit.
Oh, dum,
Mock,
dum.
Mockface.
I guess.
I'd give like Pika's fruit to one of those people on Game of Thrones. They seem like they need it.
it's a
The
character.
stone fruit? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I
That'd
don't
be
get it.
awesome.
I don't get the logic there.
Everyone's always defending castles in that show.
You have not watched Game of Thrones, have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah. If anything, they should have like laws fruit because stabby, stabby.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of something to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the shittiest devil fruit.
Who would I want to see turn into a giraffe?
Zach.
Zach's not a celebrity.
Donald Trump. He like tries to spin it.
Then he'll be unstoppable.
Look, I could tell you, people have told me giraffes are the best.
Giraffes are awesome. No,
I got the longest neck you ever seen. Make your head spin.
You know what a long neck means.
People tell me, people know my neck's really long, and then we can just like push them in the water, and then it's gonna be great.
Hey, I don't have tiny spots.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what's the next question?
This is not gonna work.
Okay. What is the Patreon goal fans need to reach in order for Zach to appear at a con cosplaying as Phoenix Wright? This is also from William.
I have to. It depends which con, and how much the materials cost. But if people want to see that, I'll figure that. I'll do the math and I'll figure it out.
And I just gotta say, Huntress fan, we will announce ahead of time the next time Aaron is on the podcast. We will get this dating sim question answered for you.
Yeah, she should have answered that when she was hosting with you, Ed.
Yeah, it's a bitch move, Aaron.
No, the person forgot to ask that week.
So they say.
What's next?
See, John Carpenter. I don't think it's the real John Carpenter. Walpurgis Knight says, seems like OD has really awakened his manga fruit lately. I just thought that was funny. Keith Hibbs asks, if you had to switch...
Wait, is Oda a D? Like,
I think that's what
I don't know
that's
why.
the easy
I don't know
plot.
why all these people keep calling me Oda. My name is O-D.
All right, Keith Hibbs asks, if you had to switch a major One Piece character with a Simpsons character, who would it be and why? Buggy and Krusty.
Pretty good.
Do I even need to explain why? Be awesome.
Mo and Mariko.
Makino?
Makino, sorry.
No. Mo and Bluno.
Yeah, Bluno from the bar.
Blue Mo.
Blue Mo. There you go. Blue Mo from the bar.
Yeah, I ate the door fruit. Yeah.
Oh, where's Midge?
Right, that's right up there with Monkey D. Gorp.
I'm trying to think of a character.
Gorp.
Um.
Well, Ace is Poochie, obviously.
Oh yeah. Hands down.
Obviously.
I'm trying to think of who I'd want Skinner to replace.
Garp is kind of like Grandpa.
Akainu, maybe? Skinner?
I don't know, like
Akainu?
who's
Yeah, that's Chalmers.
No.
yeah.
Skinner would be the Garp is Chalmers and Skinner is Kobe.
Oh, I kind of thought like Skinner as possibly Sengoku, just because like, oh, who's a wet blanket? You know, who's just constantly just like, oh, everyone is.
Or before the time skip.
Oh, and I guess Kong would be Superintendent Chalmers.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo Chalmers.
Sengoku?
Superintendent Chalmers.
Like, Marineford goes to hell. They find out.
When I saw the words Marineford and the word explosion, I immediately thought of the name Goku.
Please, can Miss Crabapple be be the Bell Marinami?
I've been calling her Crandall.
Crandall.
I look like an idiot. All right. Next question comes from One Rock 7. Loved the show last week. It was full of laughs. The Simpsons had their own separate crew from Archer's shows. Who'd be who? Like Lisa, Leela, and Tina, for example. And what would their Jolly Roger be like?
That would be I don't know, because they all have different glasses/eye differences.
Who's the captain? Would it be Lisa? That her
Leela. Leela already was a captain.
That's true.
Yeah, she's the only one who actually is a captain. I think Lisa would be like the Robin-esque person there. And Tina would be Sanji. Just with different gender issues.
Oh my
And
god.
butts. She loves butts.
She loves butts instead of boobs. That's the difference.
It's a good suggestion, One Rock 7.
I don't know what their Jolly Roger would be, but there'd be
that
one eye,
suggestion's so-
spiky hair, and
So
glasses.
just combined all their major forms. So a glasses with one eye, and then spiky Lisa hair.
Exactly.
And
How
butts.
about the
butts.
old complainy pirate crew where you have Hank Hill, let's just throw in Whoop Slap so we keep it one piece.
Yeah. The wet blanket crew, is that what we're calling
Yeah.
this? Skinner, we've already mentioned, or Chalmers. Steamed
Or Marge.
clams would be on the Jolly Roger.
Virgo would be one of those guys, right? Because he has a steamed ham on his face.
Where did you get that, Utica?
Oh, I'm from Albany, and I
Next-
don't call hamburgers steamed hams.
You say they're steamed, yet the
Yes, you
ham
call them
on your
steamed
face
hams,
is
despite the fact that it's obviously grilled.
on your face.
Okay.
You know that
No,
that
no.
hamburger on your face is quite similar to the kind they have at Krusty Burger.
Okay, what's the next question, Ed?
From Matt Martin. Which Straw Hat is most likely to own a Plumbus? This is a ridiculous question. Everyone has one.
Everyone has a Plumbus, guys.
Yeah, next question. Jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah,
God,
come on.
what a stupid question. What's next?
Kawaii Slayer asks, could Pedro and Carrot get bounties at the end of the arc since they are allied with Luffy and might fight a royal family?
Don't ask me, ask Oda. Can they? Well, I mean,
We should be answering every question like
Sure,
that.
why not?
Yeah.
well, it
All
could
right.
possibly solve the mystery.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. I mean, it's possible. I imagine the Dogstorm and Cat Viper already have bounties. You think about it.
Yeah, that's what's next.
Martin Linvid asks, you think Mama's powers are toon related, as in she can manipulate herself and her surroundings with cartoon logic?
You're saying she's Maximilian Pegasus? Anybody?
No.
Just
What?
me?
I know
Okay.
that it's Yu-Gi-Oh, but
um,
That's a little too much for Oda. If this were One Punch Man or My Hero Academia, sure.
Oh,
I'm sorry, or
it's-
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
No, it's Space Jam rules. It's
Come on,
like,
Slam.
it's like no, it's like Luffy, you could do it. Just pretend to be a cartoon and stretch yourself. He's like, I could already do that. We're in a cartoon.
And then
Where's
LeBron
the-
James comes in and
Oh man.
okay, what's next?
And then we get Monkey D.
Asks, when
Luffy.
going through Dressrosa, did any of you get the feeling that Rebecca had a crush on Luffy?
No.
Yeah, but that's like every female protagonist for an arc.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
no.
It does, because I kind of felt you got the same. If you get that feeling from the Rebecca thing, and then also you got to look at like Conus and Vivi too, because they all kind of idolized Luffy. I don't know if it was a romantic thing or just because he's a big old hero. So I don't think that way, because we know that's like explicitly the opposite of his intention to have romantic.
Yeah, and like
things. Right,
Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi's
Yes,
the same deal.
actually, Shirahoshi's probably the biggest one. In my understanding.
That's a good accidental joke there, Ed.
Our final piece to tweet this week comes from Danny Newman, 3 Sword Style 83. You receive an invitation to Big Mom's tea party. Who in the One Piece universe is your +1 and why?
The One Piece universe.
I would love to hang out with like a younger Garp.
Oh, yeah.
Garp is a wingman.
Be fun at parties.
Yeah.
+1, huh? Well, I got to bring a date.
Shanks, I would bring. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
don't you want to meet somebody at this tea party?
Look, man, I have my pick of all the One Piece waifus. Why would I want to like wait until I meet somebody? Like that's chancing it. I want a sure thing, and I'm gonna call that sure thing,
Charlotte.
Charlotte. No, probably I like Koala. Yeah,
Oh, I see. That is your waifu.
she'd be fun. I didn't say that.
You were just talking about waifus. And then
You
said
did.
You
You
didn't
that.
want to meet a waifu at this party, so you wanted to go prepared with a waifu, and you chose koala. And you're telling me she's not a waifu?
Stop saying waifu.
Zach, but why? Poo.
Okay, that's it for
This
Piece
segment.
Together.
My wife.
My wife.
Oh, once we're in Borat references, we're done. Let's round this podcast off.
We didn't talk about who our waifus are.
This has been episode 423 for the week of Monday, June 13th, 2016. I want to give a huge thanks to Wes for coming on the show. I now have a list of anime I need to watch that I have not yet seen. It's amazing to hear his storied history, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope to have him on again in the future. Yeah, right, guys?
I need to find that old DVD with that trailer for Birth on it.
It's a really bad trailer. I'm sure it's a good
bad.
movie, but he said the American adaptation was not great, but I could believe that. I know Cobra is on, I think it's on Hulu. I never heard of Kamui, and I have to look that up.
Yeah, he told me about that. I had to do some digging. It's Kamui the Ninja.
I don't know if that's available anywhere, but we're definitely going to put Wes's short film in the description. Because that is online, so you guys
Yeah,
can check it out.
it's so deliciously 80s too. I miss it.
And I can't believe he went to art school with Peter Chung.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I
I'm
knew
pretty
that
sure the
connection.
other character in this short film is drawn as like Peter Chung.
Yeah, a lot of those guys grew up together and kind of like were in the art scene at the same time. Because like coincidentally, a lot of people don't know that Peter Chung did the animation for the Rugrats opening.
Oh wow.
Yes, actually, I did know that. That was
not.
fascinating.
Wow. Worlds colliding here.
I
So,
actually own that Aeon Flux box set that came out years ago. There was a Tower Records on campus that went out of business. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I love that box set.
and there was also Reign the Conqueror, that was on Adult Swim.
Oh my god.
Oh, no. Okay.
Or Alexander too.
He did early character designs for that.
Oh, he
I
didn't do
lis-
that series.
I actually watched a Toonami pre-flight. I got back on it recently, and they talked about it, and they're like, okay, like he was involved in it in like the early stages, but he wasn't really that involved in that series. but of course they were just like, oh, his name's attached to it. Let's just milk it. So.
Well, that's another great thing about Wes's story, if you guys are paying attention, which I know you were, is that like you never know like where your paths will cross in the art scene. So it's kind of like you gotta be open to all things. Like he went and watched anime with his friends from college, and then his friends are also like amazing artists and designers himself, and he is one as well. So just be open to anything.
Well, it's like when you go. It's like when you go to a comedy club with people you've never heard of, and then 10 years later they're all super famous.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple of times too.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that's great. I supported that person. Saw the rise to their career.
I mean, it's kind of like that, except he was living it.
It's one of those things that's really only possible in New York and Los Angeles, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say more possible.
More
'cause
possible.
You never know who's going to be.
That's true.
Where. Yeah.
Impossible.
So yeah, just a couple things before we go. MatsuriCon, we're going to be in Columbus, Ohio, August 19th through 21st.
6 panels, a bunch of Funimation voice actors.
It's a lot of One Piece, so make sure you come. I don't want to hear any excuses from you guys. We also hoping to go to Anime Expo. Please tweet at AX to tell them you want us there. We're on the cusp at the moment. We're waitlisted, so let people know. Also, please support us on Patreon. Bloopers and outtakes and a lot more are available there. You could donate just $3 a month for the entire One Piece podcast library. And for higher tiers, you get t-shirts, mugs. You get early episodes of podcasts like Endless Schmaltz. Two
My baby.
Steve's baby. And yeah, please support that. We have a lot more surprises coming to celebrate 7 years of the One Piece podcast, so please keep an eye out for those. I want to give a huge thanks to Bryan, who's right here, for bringing Wes on the show and for getting him on.
Happy birthday, present One Piece podcast.
Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you.
And I know there's a lot of One Piece fans over at the Rick and Morty set, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope to speak to more of them in the future about some One Piece.
I'll try to I'll wrangle them up and I'll lasso them down and we'll have a good old hootenanny.
I know there's a big Ivankov drawing on the board that you guys use there.
Yeah, I believe that was from my current board artist, Eugene. He just started the season. He's a fantastic artist.
Good guy. He likes Ivankov. I don't want to link to that board because it's very not safe for work, but yes. It's Rick and Morty. I mean, come on.
Right.
Okay, so Bryan, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter as Dark King Zoro, all one word, and DeviantArt as Banendorf, and you can watch shows like Rick and Morty and Teen Titans Go, which I've boarded and directed on for actually both Cartoon Network shows.
Dude, Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Vine at dude exclamation all one word. You can also listen to me on 20 Minutes of Bullshit. We had me and Steve's podcast. Our new episode plopped the other day. Please check it out.
That's a technical term, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Doug Benson uses it, and he's the only person I've ever heard say plopped, but it's entered my
Lexicon.
my lexicon. So yeah. And me and Joey Weiser have a new podcast along with our friend Scott Dryman called Toho Yaro. It's right here on the Maji Media Network. You can check that out on SoundCloud currently.
Wonderfully edited, I might say.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And it's monthly, so it gives you some time before the next episode comes out to follow along with us.
What's the next movie coming out?
The next movie is called Sonatine. It's a movie it's directed, written, and starring Beat Takeshi. And it used to be found on Netflix, but it's not anymore, but you can rent it on Amazon.
Steve, where could people find you?
You could find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, AskFM. It's just Steve Yurko. It's one word. It's pretty easy to find me. All right. What's going on with conventions? There's a lot of them. I'm going to be at Anime Expo. I will be in the Artist Alley. You can find me at table C26 in the new location for the Artist Alley. I don't know where it is.
I might be sitting at his table for Anime Expo.
Well, we got to be careful because we don't want them to kick you out because they have this thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
That's always where I hide out at conventions.
But yeah, Bryan and I will be, at AX. Don't snitch on Bryan. He's a nice guy. I enjoy the company. But yeah, come check us out in wherever the new location is. Artists are worried that people aren't going to come find us, but I could count on you guys to be there. And what's going on after that? All right, if I'm going to be at MechaCon in New Orleans later in July.
Wow. You're traveling, Steve.
But wait, there's more. I will be at MatsuryCon as well. I will have a table, but also I will be running around doing a bunch of this crazy One Piece shit. I'm looking forward to that con. Geez, we could get into September. I'm gonna go to Anime Weekend Atlanta and Atlanta. But wait, there's another con. I think I'm going to New York Comic Con. So,
coming home.
Yeah,
Sweet home New York. That's how the song goes.
Sweet home New York, where the sky's so gray. Yeah, so I'm planning to do a lot of cons for the time being. So yeah, if you're going to be in any of those cities or states, come check me out there. I know a lot of you guys came by to visit at Fanime and Acon, and that was really sweet of you. I appreciate it. Got to meet some of you guys. It was awesome. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you at tables. I should note, and yes, people, I am really tall. A lot of people that I meet don't know how tall I am. They're used to just seeing me behind a table. So usually when I get up, they're like, holy shit.
And the amazing part is Sam is the same height.
I know. I must kill him because only I may be tall.
I'm glad I got that warning about Sam because, like, Steve, I'm like, no, kill it with fire.
Org hungry, org want to eat. Yeah, that's.
I also want to give a big thanks to Sam for doing our anime recap this week again, and for every week. So thanks to him. Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
Zach, you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. Festizio. The podcast is at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. OnePiecePodcast.tumblr.com for news updates and funny pictures. Go to reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. That's our subreddit. Leave us some piece together there. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can subscribe on Google Play. You can subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
Add that phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Call anytime.
With your questions, your comments, your theories, your monorails. Thank you all for coming. I don't know.
Mono.
Don't.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming on. Really fun episode this week. Next week, the manga is back with chapter 829. And the next episode of the anime. All of that and a lot more next week as we get back to our normal, regularly scheduled One Piece podcast. So we'll see you then. Until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you then. Until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
No, take me with you.
Mrs. Bouvier.
Superintendent Chalmers.
Can I come too?